Hello everyone, I do appreciate you stopping by and I hope things are well with you. Now for this video I've been given permission to mirror this video by Robin Jackson. He puts up something new every week. He's very well reasoned, very well considered in his opinions and lays out the facts well for people. Now this is a subject I've been wanting to go into detail with for a while. It's a difficult one, of course. I felt he laid out some really important baseline facts for everyone to see. This is an important video, I think, for Jehovah's Witnesses themselves to see. So later on I'll be following up with some other aspects of this subject, but please for now do listen to him. As always, I'll put up a link to his original video, and I would encourage anyone to listen to it on his channel and give comments and appreciation there. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you later. Bye for now.
Hey, you're listening to Cult Life with me, your host, Robin Jackson. Hey, and welcome to another show, another episode of Cult Life. Thank you for joining me again this week. I want to talk about the trial of Pastor Timothy Omotoso, which has made national headlines here in South Africa over the past week. Now, Omotoso is on trial for charges ranging from rape, human trafficking, sexual assault, and so forth. And three others have briefly appeared together with Omotoso in the Port Elizabeth Magistrates Court on Wednesday. Now, this Nigerian televangelist was arrested at Port Elizabeth International Airport almost a year ago on charges of trafficking more than 30 girls and women. He's also accused of being in the country illegally. And Omotoso allegedly sexually exploited his victims, who were from various branches of his church, at a house here in Umhlanga in Durban, KwaZulu-Natal. As I said, he has three co-accused. Now, the past week, Cheryl Zondi has spent 3 grueling days on the stand in the Port Elizabeth High Court, intimately detailing her alleged rape at the hands of this charismatic televangelist, Timothy Omotoso. And she has also fended off a barrage of questions, many of which have outraged the public, from defense attorney Peter Doberman about Omotoso's penis size and how far she was penetrated and so forth. And on Wednesday, members of anti-gender-based violence campaign, hashtag Total Shutdown, called on activists to actually mobilize outside the Bird Street courthouse here in Port Elizabeth. In the wake of this week's evidence at the trial of this Timothy Omotoso and difficult questions directed at the witness, Cheryl Zondi, experts have raised concerns that Zondi's treatment could discourage rape victims from coming forward. Now, do yourself a favor if you're listening to this on YouTube. Do yourself a favor and type in Cheryl Zondi. I'll also add links to some of the news networks and the clips of her being cross-examined on the stand. And just watch the treatment she was handed down on the stand by the defense attorney. Now, experts have also cautioned that while defense attorney Peter Doberman may have crossed the line with some of his questions, Zondi's composure under cross-examination also shows rape survivors that the experience of going through a trial can be very empowering. She has accused Omotoso of sexually abusing her since the age of 14. She alleges the rapes took place in Durban, in Israel, in Nigeria, Port Elizabeth, Cape Town, and Bloemfontein, and a number of other cities. Now, she's the first witness in the trial, in which Omotoso and his two co-accused faced over 60 charges relating to the alleged kidnapping and trafficking of more than 30 girls and women. Now, during his cross-examination this week, the defense attorney at Doberman asked Cheryl Zondi a number of questions which caused the Judge Mandela Makola, to intervene, and which many have said were inappropriate. At one point, Doberman, the defense attorney, asked Zondi by how many centimeters Omotoso had penetrated her. And this is just disgusting for a woman to be subjected to this type of questioning. He also went on to ask Zondi why she did not scream, and asked her if, by traveling to Durban to see Omotoso, she did not accept the risk of being raped. He also asked her why she had not phoned someone for help. Now, Zondi explained that she was afraid for her life and was very young. Now, I want to dwell on this issue. The defense attorney asked Zondi why she did not scream. Now, this made me recall the disturbing writings of the Watchtower in their publications. The Watchtower teaches that a person raped is considered to have committed fornication if they did not scream and do everything possible to resist, based on a single scripture from Deuteronomy. Now, by far the majority of articles on rape contain the sentiment that if a woman does not do enough to resist, she has committed fornication and loses her clean standing with God. And in recent years, this attitude has been toned down, but it continues to persist. Now, this view and opinion of women is inculcated from a very young age, as jwfacts.com notes. And you can actually go and research this in the online version of the My Book of Bible Stories, story number 20, where after discussing the rape of Dinah, it asks the question, why did Dinah bear a measure of responsibility for losing her virginity? Now, what sick mind would indicate to a rape victim that they were responsible for losing her virginity, let alone included in the story for children? It's just appalling. Just shows you the thinking and the reasoning of these Watchtower writers and the Jehovah's Witnesses in general. Now, blame for rape rests solely upon the rapist, and Watchtower comments that the victim shoulders responsibility and facilitates the rapist's rationalization of their crime. And I'm going to mention a few of these quotes here, and I encourage you to look this up. If you're somebody who's newly out and haven't heard about this, here's some of the Watchtower and some of the writings in the Watchtower magazine. The Watchtower 1964, January 15th, page 63 to 24. It's a question from readers, and it goes on to states this: if a Christian woman does not cry out and does not put forth every effort to flee, she would be viewed as consenting to the violation. And it goes on to say, actually, this counsel is for her welfare. For if she should submit to the man's passionate wishes, she would not only be consenting to fornication or adultery, but be plagued by the shame. Another Watchtower, 1968, June the 1st, pages 345 to 50, discusses under the title, The Christian's View of Self-Defense. And it goes on to say, and I quote from the Watchtower, it says, if you are a Christian woman, what should you do if, in spite of all precautions, you are set upon by a rapist? If you cannot deter him by reasoning or by calling upon the name of Jehovah, then what? As a Christian, you are under obligation to resist. Goes on to say, so by no means would it be proper quietly to submit to rape, as that would be consenting to fornication. Can you see the reasoning here? Can you see their viewpoint? The Awake of 1974, the Awake magazine, March the 8th, 1974, pages 13 to 16, under the heading Faced with the Threat of Rape. Why the increase, it asks? this is appalling. Womankind must share the blame. This is what the Awake magazine says. To begin with, until the age of 5 or 6 years, the most vital period, little boys have their personalities molded largely by women, their mothers. And then after some articles of similar nature in the Awake magazine, Watchtower actually started getting some flack. And you could see this, the Awake of 1984, June the 8th, page 28, question from readers. There was a statement there. It says, I was deeply disturbed by the article, They Resisted Rapists. I am very upset that anyone would even consider a victim of rape guilty of fornication. And then the Awake of 1986, September the 22nd, page 28, question from readers, resisting rape again. It says, thank you for your article, Now You Are Going to Die, of May the 22nd, 1986. I might note some concerns about the advice given, however. Some rapists are very angry and sadistic in their approach and come armed with weapons and the intent to use them if there is the least provocation. Our Metropolitan Organization to Counter Sexual Assault suggests resistance, but if the woman is paralyzed by fear or her instincts tell her not to resist, we recognize that as appropriate. We would rather have someone live through the experience than be killed or seriously mutilated. And that comes from this organization. And then the tone and advice changed in the articles to a degree. The Awake, 1993, March the 8th, pages 45, under the heading The Reality of Rape. It discussed the myths and the facts. And under the one myth it says, a rape victim bears part of the blame unless she actively resists. Thus, a rape victim is not guilty of fornication. So, and then it goes on to say, many victims of rape and sexual abuse who have had, I just want to say this, many victims of rape and sexual abuse who have had to face a judicial committee meeting with the elders can attest to the fact that it is in many cases very dehumanizing and a traumatic experience. The victims are often blamed and still have the two-witness rule to contend with in a lot of these cases. There are many instances, there are many stories being told, people have told their experiences, and it's been well documented. It is always the woman's fault, they say. You're closer to revealing, you did something to entice him, etc. And it's just sickening at times to see how victims of abuse are treated, from Hollywood moguls, American presidents, and religious leaders. All this happens under a Bible-based doctrine and societal influence or viewpoint of patriarchy. Now, Cheryl Zondi has become the face of rape survivors in South Africa. She has stood up against a religious leader that exploited young girls and women and was willing to lay bare her experience to the world. I salute her and many others who have had the courage to come forward and actually speak up about this evil. And we know in recent times the Watchtower has increasingly been hit by the courts and handed down judgments. Just recently, another $35 million lawsuit against them was awarded to victims of child sexual abuse. And these stories constantly come out in the media, and it just shows how Watchtower is not as clean an organization as they would want the world just to view them or to see them. A lot of these things get hidden from the rank and file, and when you approach the rank and file with the actual evidence of all the misconduct and the misdeeds and the child sexual abuse issues, cognitive dissonance comes into effect. They are quick to see the error and to point out the Catholic Church, and I've had one of my previous podcasts talks about this. But when faced with their own issues and own evidence of sexual assault and sexual abuse within the organization, they choose to turn a blind eye and listen to their leaders. So that's the show for today. Thanks for listening, and until next week, bye for now.